Hi guys, I'm going to go over the basic formula for midpoint distance gradient straight line. So we're looking at the formulas and we're seeing what we can do with these. The midpoint you always add. It's the only one that you add your x's and your y's and you get a coordinate. For the distance we have to subtract our x's and our y's, but we do add the results after we've squared them. Make sure you square root the whole lot. And if you're using a calculator and doing it in one step, put brackets around everything under there. So everything under the square root sign is square rooted. For the gradient, again, we're using subtraction. Remember, the midpoint is the only one you add. You have two formulas for the straight lines. You have y equals mx plus c. And then you have the second one, and the second one is easiest if you don't want to do some algebraic manipulation. You can put it in there and you can get the credits for the formula for a straight line. Parallel lines have the same gradients. Gradients of perpendicular lines, they multiply to -1. We use the reciprocal, we turn the number upside down and multiply it to -1. So, for example, if the gradient of line A is 5, a gradient of line B that would be parallel is also 5. But a gradient that is perpendicular, we take the 5, which we write as 5 over 1, we turn it upside down, 1 over 5, and put a negative in front of it. That's how we get the -1/5. So let's do one more. For coordinate geometry, it's a big help to always draw a diagram. Draw a diagram. Very big help. So I want you to make sure that you do that and draw your diagrams because it's a really big help. Let's go back to this perpendicular. If you've got a gradient of a line that is -2/3, the perpendicular gradient would just be 3 over 2. So you change to the reciprocal and then you just drop the negative or you add a negative. Let's do one more. If the gradient of a line is, say, 4, that's the same as 4 over 1. Its reciprocal would be -1 over 4. So those are reciprocals. I'm going to go through this with a quick example. So if we've got points A equals 4, -3, and B equals -2, 5, we want to draw a quick diagram. So I'm going to do that first. So here's my diagram with A and B put on it. Now I want to find the distance, so I go to the distance formula. And for the distance formula, because my x comes first at -2, I'm going to call this x1. If I can do it here, x1, and this will be y1. And the top one I'm going to call x2 and y2. It would still work out the same if you did it the other way. So we're going to do our distance formula first. Distance is the square root of x2 minus x1. We square it. We add y2, which is 5 minus -3, and we square that. Be careful when you do this. That gives you 36, and this one gives you 64. That's 100. Square root of 100 equals 10. So the distance of these is 10. So that looks about right because we've got a distance of about 6 that way and about 8 that way. Now we're going to do the midpoint. The midpoint is where we do x1, which is -2, plus we add these 4 over 2, and then we do y1 and add it to y2. Because we're adding, we still only use the negative. That negative belongs to the 3 over 2. That gives us the point 1 and 1. So that's the midpoint. If I drew the line in, which I'm going to do that, I'm going to insert the line in here and draw it, and we can see that 1, 1 would be about the midpoint. Although this is only a sketch, I can see that the point 1, 1 would be about the midpoint. Right, so we should know it's got it right. Then we want the gradient. So to do the gradient, we're going to do y2 minus y1. So that's -3 minus 5. x2 minus x1, 4 minus -2. That gives you negative 8 over 6, which is the same as negative 4 over 3. So there's our gradient. If you wanted the equation of the straight line, I'm going to do the second method. It's pretty easy. We just go y minus y1, which is going to be this value of 5, equals the gradient, which is negative 4 over 3, x minus x1, which is the negative 2. And there's your formula. You could tidy that up a bit by making these two negatives become a positive, and that's straightforward. Or you could use the y equals mx plus c method. If we used y equals mx plus c, we would have to go take one of these points. Let's take the top one. Y is negative 3, so I'm going to replace that y with negative 3. So I go negative 3 minus 5. Whoops, I'm doing y equals mx plus c. Let's go back. Negative 3 equals the gradient of x. The x value is negative 2. X value is 4. So we're going to times that by 4 plus c. Now you're going to have to work out what that c is. So it's negative 3 equals negative 16 over 3 plus c. That goes in 5 1/3. Add it to the other side. So negative 3 plus 5 1/3 equals c. So that means that 2 1/3 equals c. So the formula for the straight line is y equals negative 4 over 3x plus 2 1/3. That's the second way to do the equation of a straight line. Right, I hope that's helpful. Next video, we're going to do a question